We're finally here, and shit, yeah, it's cool. Released in 1994 on Scat Records, B-1000 is Guided by Voice's most iconic record, and it's the one that cements their legacy as the kings of lo-fi indie rock. This is the first Guided by Voices record to be made entirely of home recordings. There's nothing from the studio on here. Everything was recorded on Tobin's 4-track and Bob's boomboxes. And this is the one that really put them on the map. This is the one that cemented their legacy. And this is the one I always suggest to people who haven't listened to the band before. This kind of summarizes everything that makes Guided by Voices great. So the weird thing about this record is that a lot of it's actually pretty old material. Bob kind of treated it like a greatest hits of his unreleased tracks. He rewrote, added on to, revised, re-recorded, and even overdubbed onto some old recordings to produce the 20 tracks that make up B-1000. A lot of earlier versions of these songs exist, if you go digging through the now hundreds of Suitcase tracks, as well as a lot of stuff's been uploaded to YouTube, actually, so you can find some earlier takes there. I don't quite have the full story on how these tracks leaked or how they got there, but there's quite a few of them up there. So just to highlight a couple, the opening track, Hardcore UFOs, is a rewrite of an older song, Walls and Windows, and Bob had written that before he even had the name Guided by Voices. It's from the early 80s. Similarly, fan favorite Tractor Rape Chain. There's probably 5 or more previous versions with different lyrics, different tempos, and alternate titles. Only a few tracks off this record, like Gold Star for Robot Boy and I Am a Scientist, were actually new and written specifically for this record. But what I find fascinating is that a lot of those early tracks are kind of rough. The lyrics are kind of not fully there. But somehow, Bob takes that material and turns it into something incredible. He's definitely at the top of his game in '94. Tobin is really coming to his own as the band's recording engineer, and besides doing the physical work of actually recording a lot of these tracks, he contributes quite a few of his own songs to the record as well. B-1000 showcases the so-called classic lineup of the band, and while GBV's sessions were pretty chaotic and piecemeal, and not everybody plays on each song, all the big names are here. Bob Pollard and Tobin Sprout, of course. Then joining them are Don Thrasher and Kevin Fennell, both on drums on various tracks. You have Dan Toohey and Greg Demos, once again, both playing bass on various tracks. And then you have Mitch Mitchell on guitar. And no Guided by Voices record would be complete without Jim Pollard contributing. A couple things here and there. Some guitar feedback, bass on a track. So because this record's so great, I decided to split the review into 2 parts rather than cutting out a bunch of information. So be sure to check back in for part 2.